Hello, good morning. It's just gone 8:30 AM on Tuesday the 10th of March. I'm just out on my bicycle for about a 40-50 mile bike ride. Savour the delights of spring, and I'm heading down south of Shepton Mallet across East Mendip, crossing it on the way over, then retracing back over it on my way home. Behind me over there is the main Bath to Radstock road. I'm avoiding that on this minor road. This is called Kilkenny Lane. There's quite a few places of interest we're passing through this morning, which I want to share with you. But when I get there, I'll film them briefly and then just put some slides up. So if you want to freeze it and read up more, and there'll be links in the description below. But I'm going to just try and make this more a ride video. I'm on my giant Tough Road SLR2. It's my main touring bike plus my main workhorse during the winter. It's just so much safer feeling with the wider tyres, straight handlebars, higher centre of balance. And I'm avoiding that main road, but there are one or two steep drops which are a bit potholey and rutted, so this bike is absolutely perfect for that. It's nice avoiding all that traffic, but you can see the road surface here leaves a bit to be desired. Potholes and gravel. We're just going to go down a very sharp slope here. As we drop off, I'll make our way down to the Cam Valley. And this is why I like this bike so much. The wider tyres, straight handlebars, and mostly really the disc brakes. I love coming along here. It feels like you're miles from anywhere. I'm literally only about 2 miles from my home in Bath. Just looking over there, up towards Bristol, westwards. On our left is the roar of that main road, but you cannot see it anymore. Just looks like a lovely spring morning. You will get a few odd cars and vans along here. That's the locals who know this is a good way to avoid the traffic. So you do need to ride along here cautiously. Don't assume you've got the whole road to yourself. Just hear bird song everywhere. It's the overpowering sound, the wind through my ears and the bird song over that way. What a lovely way to leave my hometown Bath to start a spring ride. That's the lovely village of Preston on the outskirts of Bath down there. On my night ride recently, I did the short 3 or 4 minute video with the music overlaid, rode all through there. Real network of really pitch black lanes. I actually wanted to go and have a look at the church. You can see it from here. That was actually quite difficult to find in the pitch black. Navigating in the dark is so different from daytimes. Nice display of daffodils as we come into the village of Tunley. This is all part of the old Somerset coalfield. There's a nod here to it, one of the old coal trucks, Tunley / Preston Colliery, 1914 to 1930. The last deep mine sunk in Somerset. We're just leaving the old mining village of Tunley. We're going to drop down really steeply here in 2 phases. And you'll see right in the very far distance, the highest line you can see, that's the Mendips. That's what we're heading for. This is Tunley Hill. This will take us down halfway, then it'll level out a bit, and then we'll drop down the next. So we're coming into Camerton. May see the Mendip transmitter in the far distance. That's up above Wells, about 1,000 feet. Cambrook we've just crossed. I could go up that way, climb up steeply towards Radstock. We're going to continue down in the valley for a while because I want to get to the old mining town of Poulton. A couple of things of interest there. Now this is the Cam Valley. This used to be so quiet when I first started cycling in the late 70s, early 80s. You'd hardly see a car along here, maybe on a Saturday or Sunday. But more and more plots have been sold off for developing, so you do get some new housing along here. So it's become a little bit of a commuter rat run. Still not too bad though. I still love coming along here. This is little grass triangle, little memorial park. Love stopping here. Just gives you a real feel for the place. You can imagine how it would have been in its coal mining heyday. And there's Poulton Methodist Church, 1894. Poulton has got a strong link to Methodism. Try and keep the video short, so I'll put a slide on the screen now, so if you want to freeze it and read up more, that's what I'll be doing at these points of interest. Passing what's called Newton Chapel. That's Newtown Chapel. It's no longer a chapel, it's been converted into an occupancy. We're going to go left here up Tennis Court Road. Here's the recreation area. There's Tennis Court Avenue down there, Tennis Court Mews that side, and we're still on Tennis Court Road. So I'm guessing this used to be old tennis courts. I just wanted to show you this. There's the Arnhem Memorial. In September 1944, there was a towed glider that had taken off at RAF Keevil, and it was making its way to merge with all the other airborne forces heading over towards Holland, Operation Market Garnham, better known as Arnhem, and it crashed into this hillside, killing everybody on board. That's the memorial. You will not be able to get across there on your bike. You'll need to lock it up in that recreation area. It's just a few hundred yards along there. You can see we're dropping down into another coal valley. We've just climbed out of one coal mining valley. We're dropping down. We're about to join another one along here. We're just going to join this road very slightly. Turn left and then right, but we need to take care. Old Mills Lane this is called. So this whole coal mining valley provided energy in the Victorian and Edwardian era, and now in the 21st century there's a couple of solar farms up here, so it continues its heritage of providing energy and power. So just in there is a big solar farm. And then there's one further up, top of the hill. And there's some kind of burner plant there as well. I'm not sure what those three chimneys are. Biomass maybe. But just to the right here, something I wanted to share with you. A waterfall. See, there's a windy road crossing over this lovely little stream. A lot of hill water coming off. We're about to start climbing up here out of the valley, then we're going to turn left through Clapton and Chilcompton. Lovely, isn't it? But this side got quite a fast waterfall. It's easy to shoot by here and miss this. You quite often hear it. Lovely sight, isn't it? And that garden as well, they've just maximised the location, haven't they? Great on side view. Savour this before we start climbing out of the valley. So that, I believe, is either the Wellow Brook or a subsidiary of it, because the Wellow Brook rises at Ston Easton up that way a couple of miles off to our right. So I've just turned my bike round so you can see a couple of little bits of maintenance or upgrades I've done. So I've put a lot of spoke lights around both wheels, the silver Scotch light and the very luminous green. I was doing one of my train assisted rides back in the winter. I was on Oldfield Park Station in the dark and this lady came down with them and I thought, wow, aren't they effective? There was no real light shining on them, but she just seemed to be glowing from a distance. And then I asked her what they were, so I've been and got some myself. And I've also put a new chain and sprockets on. Big deal, you might think. But I've had the bike coming up to a year and a half now, and that's the first new cassette I put on. I've done 3,300 miles before I changed it. So I ran the first one on 2 chains. I replaced the chain just before it got to its 0.7mm stretch and put that on, and that lasted about half the amount of time of the first one. Whether that's to do with the cassette wear or whether I'd unknowingly bought a cheap copy, Chinese copy, I don't know. But anyway, I was hoping to get through after the rain and put a new chain and sprockets on once the roads got a lot drier, but I checked it recently and it just suddenly started to really wear quickly, and I was in between the 0.75 and the 1mm stretch, so I've just replaced both the chain and the cassette. It's running lovely and smoothly. I did have to tweak the gears a little bit, it just knocked the indexing out a little bit, so it's just really running smoothly at the moment. This is another long old drag from Chilcompton up towards Downside and East Mendip. Look at this old building, Downside Old Church. It's been lovingly restored, kept in good condition as a private residence. Still see the clock face on there, bell coat up there. Hear all the crows in the trees above it, which gives it that spooky atmosphere. Ivy all up the graves. Wow, that's really nice. This is part of my case for why I believe East Mendip is every bit as lovely as West Mendip. You haven't got the big open limestone plateaus, but you've got these lovely steeply wooded valleys, these lovely chalky streams going through them. Look at that, just beautiful, surrounded by these steep woods. And we're going to be climbing up towards our summit. We're going to be crossing over an old Roman road, what's known as the Lead Road. I'll tell you more about it when we get there. But lead wasn't the only commodity around here. There was also stone. There's lots of quarries around here. We're going to be passing several on the way up. For me, this is just so lovely. Early spring ride. Deepest, darkest Somerset. It even says so on the sign here, look. Climb out of this valley, Holcombe and Stoke St Michael that way. We've just dropped down from Nettle Bridge that way. And we're heading up towards Dalting this way. That's right on the outskirts of Shepton Mallet. This is just deepest, darkest Somerset at its very best in my opinion. I just love this county so much. I am biased because I was born and raised here, lived most of my life here. Hope you're enjoying the views so far. It just gets better as we climb up. Oh yes, you've guessed it, steep climb out of the valley. Can see what looks like the remains of old industrial buildings along here. There's a good reason for that. There were small quarries along here. There's some really big ones still that remain up on East Mendip, but these smaller ones have closed many years ago and they've gone back to nature. They've been turned into nature reserves. This board tells you about this. This is Lime Kiln Wood and Fields. It says, the woodland has an undulating terrain which has been historically quarried on a small scale to provide limestone for buildings within home wood. A block within the wood suffers greatly from heavy shade cast by the conifers and has little plant life. Broadleaf trees survive elsewhere due to shallow soils that discourage successful conifer planting. Kind of natural selection, isn't it? That fallen tree there, look, all the moss on it. It's quite a grind up here, but nothing back-breaking. It does take its toll on you after a while though, these sort of hills. rather than being short and sharp, they're just continuous, and that can grind you down much quicker than really steep ones. Just lovely coming up here. You can just see the remains of old quarry workings around here. Large boulders there, look. There's a gated entrance to an old quarry there. This feels like that Humphrey Bogart film, The Petrified Forest. Or Doctor Who and the Daleks on Skyro. I love coming up roads like this, where you can just let your mind wander, dial down the front part of your brain, the supercomputer bit, and ramp up the inside, the emotional bit, and just let your mind wander. You can go wherever it wants, as long as it comes back. Oh, this is just beautiful. That's where the Petrified Forest in Skyro came from. I was literally just letting my mind wander. Oh, it is beautiful. The trees are thinning as we get towards the start of the summit. I think there's still a fair way to go. We'll know when we're getting near the summit because we're here traffic, because the old Roman road is actually a modern day busy road and we cut right across it. We're at the summit of our ride today, the highest point, about 1,000 feet up on East Mendip, at the free house of the Wagon and Horses pub. We've just climbed up that way. It's been a long old grind up from that river valley. We're going to cut across right down there. That's why I've chosen this junction, so we do not have to ride on this road. We can just go straight across. Can you see how straight it is here? That's because this is an old Roman road. This is known as the Lead Road, because its destination was the lead mines back on the charter place at West Mendip, a few miles that way, and it went that way to Old Sarum, site of the original Salisbury Cathedral. It's up on that big mound on the outskirts of Salisbury. Old Sarum was a big Roman junction, like a huge roundabout with hub and spoke roads going off everywhere. This is one of them, Margary's 45B. And then it continued towards Winchester on Margary's 45A. So I'm guessing the reason Margary named this road 45A and 45B, it was probably a Winchester to the Mendips commodity road. It was one of the first Roman roads built after the invasion, and some people believe it carries on to the Bristol Channel at Uphill. There is evidence that it carried on over the Mendips and then dropped down to the Bristol Channel, because there was thought to be a Roman port at Uphill, and also they know there's remains of a Roman temple upon Breen Down, and also a gold smelt up there. And some archaeologists have produced some evidence, aerial shots mostly, outlining the course of what they believe was a Roman road 2,000 years ago, although not all experts agree. But so Margary's 45B may have had a C on it. It may have gone from Charteris, dropped off the Mendips to Bristol Channel, but that is disputed. Some believe it, others don't. I'm not educated enough to have an opinion. I'm just repeating what I've read, but I think there's a case for it. So this is our highest point on the road today. The reason I chose to came up here is I know this can be a busy road sometimes, so we're going straight across it there. The road, Margary's 45B, carries on up there a couple of miles, and that's where the Fossway crosses it. So the Fossways come from Exeter that way, it crosses Margary's 45B at a right angle, as you would imagine, as Roman roads do. It carried on that way towards Lincoln. So we're going to pretty much parallel the Fossway now, because we're going to cut across Margaret's 45B here at this right angle. But instead of going towards Shepton Mallet that way, we're going to curve down to another very busy A road. It's like this, we're going to go straight across it at right angles. That'll be much busier than this one, and then we'll loop around it, and our lunch stop would be Cranmore railway station on a heritage railway. We're dropping down now quite sharply. So we dropped down this ledge, stayed at this elevation for a while. Now we're going to turn right here, continue our plunge down off of East Mendip. It's fantastic, this plunge. You can just stop pedalling and drop down on your own gravity. Or pedal a bit if you want to build up some momentum and speed. Payback for all that climbing we did earlier on. But yeah, you guessed it, we'll do our turn at Cranmore, then we've got to go back up over it, but it should be easier going back. The train's not quite as steep, and also we should have the wind behind us as well, which should assist us. Oh, here's a busy road we've got to get across. I think this is the A361 heading into Shepton Mallet. Obviously great care needed here. Again, why I wanted to go across at a right angle into Merrifield Lane. Chester Blade we're heading towards. So we're just passing under the East Somerset Railway. So Cranmore would be that way. I believe the East Somerset Railway has got a gala on this weekend, so it's opening up for the 2026 season. But they did bring this historical rail car down, and I saw some video of them testing it last weekend, I guess to get it ready for the gala. So that might be visible today. I'm hoping we'll get to see it. It's quite an historic carriage. It's one of these heritage vehicles that is transported between heritage railways, and it's quite a crowd puller by all accounts, so I'd quite like to see that if we can. We're just coming across this railway bridge, and we'll be able to look down on the railway hopefully. Oh, there it is there. Lots of carriages up there in the sidings. A few cars there. Looks like the platform may be open. There's a cafe there. Let's go and see. This way to the trains. Of course, got that lovely feel of an old village railway station, isn't it? Gosh, look at the old Walls ice cream sign. Big heritage and tourist attraction, as you can see. Brief history, we're going to have a look at that shortly. I was hoping to see this rail car here today, but maybe it's indoors to keep it safe. K4 telephone box it says there. Can have a look at that shortly. Oh, I can see the rail car up in the very far distance. That should be a big tourist attraction this coming weekend. Okay, apologies for any wind noise. I'm filming on my phone now because the zoom on its camera is much more powerful. That's what I've come to look at in the far distance. This will keep going in and out of focus if I do that too much. That's the rail car up there. That browny and yellow vehicle facing us. On the right of the track, just to the left of that pitched roof building, shed I guess. Oh, something just beeped up there. That's going to be a big crowd pull at the weekend, I believe. There's a sign there saying, cross the line ahead for the David Shepherd Discovery Centre. As I understand it, David Shepherd was quite a successful artist. I think he was famous for painting wildlife, elephants in particular, and I think he used some of his wealth to actually invest in this railway and get it up and running. So that's a nod to one of their founders, I believe, or one of their early donators anyway. It says this footbridge, the East Somerset Railway, is restoring and erecting the iconic Victorian GWR footbridge formerly at St Earth. I think that's in Cornwall. The footbridge was originally built around 1890 and is Grade 2 listed. The East Somerset Railway are fortunate in that this structure has recently been repaired by Network Rail and is in relatively good condition. So it's a project they need to get groundworks installed first. So it sounds like they're buying it off Network Rail. So that's going to be in here somewhere to avoid people crossing the line. Gosh, look at that. King George V or George VI phone box. Pillar box as well. Book of stamps at 50p. Gosh, I'm not sure if I've seen one of those before. It says it's a K4 telephone box. It says history. The K4 kiosk was designed in 1925 by the engineering department of the GPO and used the successful design of the K2 kiosk by St Giles Gilbert Scott. I believe he also designed Liverpool Cathedral, and there's St Alfred's Church very close to where I live in Oldfield Park. He designed both of those as well. So he designed churches as well as phone kiosks. This one expanded to include a post box and a snap machine. It was an automated mini post office, but it was enormous, half as big again as the K2. Only 50 were installed between 1930 and 35. So that really is rare. Gosh, only 50 of those ever made. The mini post office. Gosh, it's even got its own lamp up there, look. There we are, ladies and gentlemen, Cranmore. I love the old Walls ice cream sign. That really makes me think of my childhood in the 60s. There's a tribute to all the volunteers. As you can see, it relies on volunteers rather than paid staff, these heritage railways. There's a brief history of the East Somerset Railway. I'll take a photograph of that. Again, I'm trying to keep the videos a bit shorter. But before I do that, it just says here, when the railways were nationalised in 1948, the line became part of the Western region. However, under the severe beaching cuts of the 60s, the line was earmarked for closure, and the last passenger train ran on the 7th September 1963. I read somewhere that it was earmarked for closure before the Beaching Act, but it escaped that wave of cuts because 3,300 miles were closed after nationalisation, way before the Beaching cuts. Beaching, I believe, cut 5,000 miles, but before that the British Transport Commission had actually closed 3,300, so I sometimes think Beaching is convenient fall guy for politicians. I don't think everybody held Richard Beeching, at the time anyway, in bad stead, because when I was a student I did an assignment on financial bubbles and their consequences and their aftermath, and I used British Railways as a case study actually. During that research for that assignment I came across something I was unaware of at the time, and that was that John Lennon of the Beatles in November of 1968 approached Richard Beeching to help solve the problems of the Apple company that the Beatles were part of. Apparently they didn't get on, and it's said that Beeching advised Lennon to stick to making records. So whether they have ever met face to face or it's a telephone conversation, I'm not sure. And some of the sources will even say that Paul McCartney and John Lennon approached Richard Beeching, although other sources will just say that John Lennon did. They must have had enough faith in Richard Beechin, and this would be 5 years after the Beechin report, the reshaping of British railways, to approach him at least and ask him if he could help them with their business issues. So I am aware that Richard Beechin is a little bit divisive, and he's not thought very highly of by railway enthusiasts. But my argument would be, if I was managing a railway, I wouldn't want a train spotter as its chief executive. So we came in from the right, the direction that car's travelling, and we're going to turn left here into the village, and I'm going to head for the church. I think that would be a possible place where I can get some shelter from the wind. I believe this is a minor public school we're passing here actually. Got All Hallows School. It's got a pretty impressive looking church spire over there, or chapel. Now you may see the traffic on that busy A road. We're going to do what we did before but in reverse, go straight across it, heading north this time. This is the little hamlet of Downhead. Even these little rises here, I'm just getting blown up them. As I was just coming up this little bendy road, I saw a church there. Look at this, gosh, I wish I'd remembered that was there. I'd have come here for my lunch. Oh, how nice is that? It's got a seat outside, but it also looks like it's got an open porch. That is one for a different ride actually. I think I might come out specifically to have a look at that sometime. Try not to cram too much into there. That is lovely. Just set up on this little rise. This is a little hamlet of Vobster we're coming through. Some quarries round here. Going over another lovely river. I wonder if that's the Froome. I'll have to look up these rivers. I'll put what that is on the screen now, but that's lovely, isn't it? Going through someone's land there, look. Little stream coming down to join it. East Mendip, ladies and gentlemen. I thoroughly recommend it. Okay, we're coming up to a railway path. That's a nice little touch, look, by Marshall's Quarry of Mells. Little steam engine. Pop and get a picture of that. That's nice, isn't it? Marshals, we are recruiting. It feels like we're up on top of East Mendip. We are. There's one of the quarries, look. One of the remaining quarries. I love that steam engine model along there at the entrance to that quarry. Here we are, look. Taking us down to the old track bed. Need to be careful here because there could be cyclists coming by. Yeah, there are, look. Give way. Oh yeah. Yeah, alright. Yeah. All right. Thank you. This should take us about a mile or so into Radstock, and then it brings us right alongside Somerset and Dorset. So we'll do another U-turn, start heading back that way, my hometown of Bath, several miles. Early afternoon then, the sun's coming out, nice bit of blue sky and some warmth off the sun. We swapped over railways, so what happened is we dropped off East Mendip, came down by that quarry, and we joined on the old GWR Bristol to Froome railway. It was closed in the 60s and it's now like this, a traffic free cycle path. We took that into Radstock, heading that way, changed railways, changed directions, and now we're heading into Bath this way. We're coming into Foxcote, and this was the scene of one of the worst railway accidents, not just on this railway but in British railway history. So again, I'll take a picture of that telling you all about it, and if you want to freeze the video you can do so. It's turning into a lovely afternoon, it's blue sky, birdsong everywhere. Gosh, circuit tours. Oh yeah. Proper cyclists. Seeing that cycle tourist pass me the other way, oh, that's really inspired me, made me quite envious actually, wondering where's he been, where's he going, where's he come from, where's he heading, what sort of adventures has he had, what sort of adventures will he have. I'm going to finish the video along here, I think there's an appropriate place to do it, and I'll tell you about what will be coming up next. And that will be a mini cycle tour, an overnighter. I think I've got a cracker to share with you, so I'll tell you just a little bit about it along here. This seems a good place to finish the video. About halfway between Wellow that way and Midford that way, there's this lovely opening, great vista there looking up. Can you see that like wall up there just below the trees? There's lots of traffic going up and down it. That's Midford Hill, that's where I spoke to you recently. I got the bus to about halfway up one of the farms and then walked up along there before I then turned up, went over the hill through Hogswood. So this is Stopline Green along here. This will be a section I will be walking sometime during the summer. It'll probably be a bus assisted walk. So down there you may just see a metal bridge, and then there's the Wellow Brook there. As I've said before, the Stopline Green followed the course of the Wellow Brook, and the railway followed the course of the Wellow Brook as far as here. And then there's a pillbox down there. I'll try and zoom in and show you a picture of that. There's a grass ridgeline halfway up the hill there towards that wall in the road. You may just see the brick structure there of one of the pillboxes. That brick pillbox down there, right next to the Wellow Brook, is the last pillbox on Stopline Green before it starts leaving the valley. Can you see? It just heads straight up that other one. And then it goes up through those woods and then bends up over the road. We saw that one on that Hogwood farm just after we left the road, and that lay-by, and then started walking towards the woods. And then there was the woods with all the pillboxes and the tank traps. So this is going to be a section of walk I'm going to do sometime. I'll probably get the bus out to Midford and walk along here, maybe walk back, try and locate the pillboxes I can't see, but you can definitely see two from here. That brick one there, right down next to the stream, and then about halfway up the hill, halfway between here and the wall and that road, is that other one. My next video is going to be champing. That's staying in ancient historic churches. You got the sole use of them overnight between 4 PM and about 10 AM the next morning. And I was really excited to read recently on the Churches Conservation Trust website, there's going to be a new addition to the champing collection at Rollston. You may not have heard of that, and I've been there before. It's very, very close to Stonehenge. It was when I was riding round and visiting all the Churches Conservation Trust property, the CCT properties in the historic county of Wiltshire, and that was one of them. And it's just fantastic. I've always wanted to go back there, and guess what? I can stay in there overnight. It will be the first season they're offering it, and the season starts from early April, so I may be one of the first people to ever champ there. I'm going to try and stay there very early in April, so hopefully that'll be the next video. The champing church is lovely. You come off this hill just after you've ridden past Stonehenge. You can ride right by it without needing to pay to go in, and all the bus service and the guided tours. You literally just ride up what used to be an old road. It's a footpath come bridleway now, and then a few miles later you drop down and there's the church just down the track. In fact, it's so well hidden I almost overshot it. when I visited there last time, and about a mile further down there's a village with a shopping, so I can go down there, get a bottle of wine, some beer, whatever. It should be a really cosy night, so I'm really looking forward to that. And who knows, I may be the first person that ever chap in St Mary's at Ralston. That'll be the next video. If you got this far, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.